Privacy planning is a critical part of understanding how you're going to live very close to your ADU tenant. So, Brooks, I want to talk all about this, about how to ensure my privacy, their privacy, without competing.
Yeah, yeah. This is really a critical part of the overall planning because for most people, your home is your sanctuary.
Yeah,
You know, you kind of retreat to your home because this is my heaven on earth. I can kind of get away from the hassles of work and
right.
society and everything else. But you're creating a space where you're inviting someone to your sanctuary to live 24/7.
Yeah,
And if you don't think about how am I going to design and who do I want to be there and how is this going to impact my lifestyle, you could be really, really unhappy with the decision that you made about implementing an ADU and say, this just isn't worth it. And the money that I spent isn't returning because I am really miserable with who's living on my property.
yeah.
So you need to spend a lot of time with that. And there are some key areas that you need to think about. That's why we talk about defining your avatar.
Hmm.
Define your tenant. Who is it that you want to live there? Because you're going to design for that tenant that excites them about wanting to live there.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to recognize that you can't necessarily discriminate and say who can and can't live there, but your building can encourage who wants to live there and who doesn't want to live there.
Gotcha.
So you think about that and who's going to do that. If you design a one-bedroom apartment, it's probably not going to be a family that wants to rent it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So those are the things that you look at. Other key areas are that really where your paths start to cross and impact in your privacy are in these key areas. The transition to and from your ADU and out. What are the pathways? What are the walkways? How do I do that? All of those transitions for you and for your tenant
Yeah.
are where you interact with each other. So defining those transitions like pathways and walkways and stuff like that help make that you understand mentally that this is the pathway and it's okay for you to be there and you're not upset when somebody's walking
Or
on the
surprised.
side of your yard.
Yeah.
And what's going on? And their friends are coming over to visit and you're not going, who's this in my backyard? Well, they're walking on the pathway, so they must be going to see the tenant. That's what you do. So pathways are that. You want to make sure that you clearly designate areas that mentally say, this is your area, this is mine. Parking will become a real problem if you don't think about parking ahead of time.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, well, you can just park your car right there. But then you have to start thinking about, well, how do I maneuver my car in and out?
What
how
if
do
they
they
park
maneuver
too
their car
far?
in and out?
Yeah.
What happens if they have guests? Where are they going to park? How do they know what's going on? If you don't really kind of establish a pattern for that and a communication, that creates a lot of tension in what's going on. Then the other thing that really becomes is sight lines between your properties.
What's a sight line?
Okay, have you ever sat in your house and looked through the window to your neighbor and see that they're over watching TV?
Yes.
And they're about, the 100 feet away?
Can tell what show it is?
The exact same thing can happen in your ADU.
Gotcha.
Okay. The problem is that most of the time an ADU is built behind your house. And oftentimes that's where your bedroom windows are in your house.
Right.
And they're looking right straight into the bedroom windows and you're going, man, I don't feel very comfortable with this anymore. So you really want to figure out how do we place the house, the entrance and everything else such that we don't have a lot of interaction of looking into and out of each other's windows for how we're living. Even playing in your backyard. I'm having a backyard, but their front window is looking at what I'm doing in my backyard. That's not going to be something you want to do.
Right. So you can plan it specifically to maintain your privacy where you don't feel like someone's encroaching on your space and they get their own space too.
Yeah. And to really understand that, you really need to model it. You need to model it in a 3D model so that you can literally go inside the house and look at what's the view that I see out of the window.
That's incredible that you guys can do that.
From the outside of the house, what can I see inside? Do that before you ever build the building, because once it's built, you aren't changing it. Yeah.
Nope, you're not. Then you're just investing in lots of curtains, which is
Yeah.
not the point. So,
Curtains and blinds. Yeah.
yes. Tell me, Brooks, how can someone connect with you guys about this?
Excellent question. Really simple. Just send an email to us at hello@aduutah.com. Again, that's hello@aduutah.com.